Yo, what's up guys? Chase the Bro here, and welcome back to another Elden Ring update video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the patch notes for version 1.09, which I kind of glanced over, and they do have quite a lot of PvP balance changes, so I am pretty excited. For today's video, I am just going to be reading through the changes and talking about how I feel about them, and then later in upcoming videos I'll be trying to test out all the changes for myself. Starting off with one of the new features, they added ray tracing, so if you're someone who enjoys ray tracing, that's there for you on the PS5, Xbox, and PC. Maybe I'll test it out to see how it looks and see how it impacts performance. Please note that the performance such as frame rate and resolution may be impacted while playing with ray tracing on. Okay, yeah. Moving on to the PvP exclusive balance adjustments, so there's quite a lot here to go through. The first one being the Inescapable Frenzy incantation. Power and grab angle have been increased. That's always nice. That's extremely difficult to land, so any buffs to that I'm all with. The lifesteal skill power, range, and grab angle have been increased as well. Both of the grabs, super difficult to land. They definitely need all the buffs they can get. They decreased the power of two-handed jumping attacks. Now, I don't know if they mean two-handed jumping attacks like two-handing my claymore here. I'm going to assume they mean dual-wielding because the dual-wielding jump attacks were definitely where all the damage output came from. If they for some reason only nerfed the two-handed version of jumping attacks on weapons, I'd be confused. For now, I'm just going to assume it's dual-wield jump attacks. And on that front, I'm pretty excited because the damage output in Elden Ring is still extremely high, even though they have been taking steps to lower it. Two-handed jumping attacks with certain weapons just do an absurd amount of damage, so I'm all for that personally. Next up, we have they decrease the power of heavy and heavy running attacks of the fist and claw weapons. I wonder if they just mean damage output. If it's damage output, that's honestly no big deal. The weapons themselves are still very good. Having a guaranteed stun on the heavy attack with a fist weapon is very powerful. And you have the true combo from the running heavy attack into the heavy attack. So for the Cestus anyway, and the ones that have the type of running heavy like that. So we'll see how that goes in testing. They decrease the power of the Founding Rain of Star spell. You know, I myself am a fan of any nerf to wizards, but that's just because I like melee combat, so I'm a little biased. Decrease the spell enhancement effect of Terra Magica spell. That's nice, that's nice. Less wizards shooting cannons and spells at me from afar. Even though it is fun, I do have to say it is fun. Wizardry is just already powerful. I feel like Terra Magica just pushes it to the one-shot range, and anything that has less one-shot potential in this game, I'm a favor of. Next up, we have decrease the damage and poise damage of the Wave of Gold skill when hitting an opponent over a certain distance. Okay, that's interesting, and I'm in favor of this because usually Wave of Gold is only used in team settings where you're fighting a 2 or 3 man team, and one's just kind of using Wave of Gold in the back, and it does a really high amount of damage, not to mention knocks you down. So I guess at a certain distance they're going to lower the damage output and maybe the poise damage to where you don't get knocked down from it. That would be very useful and help out in those 3v1 situations. Decrease the effectiveness of Determination and Royal Knight's Resolve skill. Okay, that's kind of nice. It is very powerful. I wonder how much they're going to lower it by to where it's not really useful at all anymore, or if it's just like a small nerf to where it's not a big deal. Honestly, I don't use these too much these days unless I'm trying to finish off a low health team. Like if there's a teammate who's very low health and it's a 3v1 and I want one out of the way, I might pop on Royal Knight Resolve with on a lance, try to finish them off that way. But overall, not a huge effect to me. Decrease the effect of the Contagious Fury skill of the Jellyfish Shield. Oh, that's the damage buff. I myself have never really used it, but I have seen people use it to try and one-shot, so probably a good change. I'm really in favor of the longer combat. From Dark Souls 3 to Elden Ring, I really didn't like the change of how much damage output you could do with the Ash of Wars especially. I feel like it takes away from the combat a little bit. You can just get one-shot out of nowhere sometimes. So as they're balancing the game more and more, I feel like they're going in the right way. Decrease the effectiveness of the Lord of Blood's Exaltation Talisman. Okay, so it's going to have a smaller damage buff when there's actually blood in the area. And they decrease the attack power buff granted by the White Mask head armor. Okay, so both of these are kind of nerf to damage boosts from bleed builds. Kind of nice. Decrease the jumping attack damage buff granted by the Raptor's Black Feathers armor. Okay, so they earlier nerfed the either two-handed or dual-wield jump attack. I'm not sure. It does say two-handed, but I still think that's a weird change, so I'm kind of assuming they meant dual-wield. I could easily be wrong, though. And now they're reducing the damage buff from the Raptor's Black Feathers armor. So they are targeting jump attacks for sure. And I myself am in favor of that. I feel like jump attacks as it stands are very hard to space and punish because the recovery is pretty quick on most of the jump attacks. The damage output is very high, especially when you stack that with the Claw Talisman and dual-wield weapons. You get one-shots easily. I've done it myself. So I think I'm very in favor of the changes made to the jump attacks. And they decrease the damage buff from the magic. Okay, so all the elemental cracked tiers have reduced damage buffs. Okay, that's interesting. And here we have general balance adjustments. So they added an invincibility window when respawning in the Coliseum. That is nice. Can't just get dragon breathed out of nowhere when you get spawned in. Increase the scaling of the following attributes when infusing weapons with certain ashes of ore. So magic, fire, flame art, lightning, and sacred. Basically all the elemental ones. Okay, so they're actually increasing the scaling of the elemental infusion, but they lowered the damage buff for the elemental physics. I wonder how much they increased that by. That'll be nice. I'll have to compare on one of my like fire videos versus another one or something like that to see the difference of the scaling. Next up, we have they increased the attribute scaling of the following weapon types: Colossal Sword, Great Axe, Hammer, Flail, Great Hammer, and Colossal Weapons. I think that's a good change. Most of these need some buffs. Colossal Weapons in general are super slow, very easy to punish. They need some more damage output. Great Hammers I like, but I only use them for jump attacks, so any buffs they can get is nice as well. I never use Flails or Hammers, so they need some love. Great Axes are in the same boat as Great Hammers, I feel. Colossal Swords I use, but mostly the crouch attack, the running attack are very good. Some more damage output on all these weapon types is nice from the attribute scaling. Increase the speed, range, and recovery time of some of the attacks for the following weapon types: Great Hammer, Great Axes, Great Sword. Some love for the Great Sword class, finally. And Curved Great Swords. Okay, some of the attacks, so it's not going to be all of them. I assume it's going to be like things like the running attack on some of them. Like the Great Sword running attack needs some love. I almost never use the running light or heavy. I feel like it could be quicker. And some of the other attacks as well. So that's a nice change. We'll have to see how they go. Flail weapon changes. Oh, specifically for the flail, finally getting some love. They increased the speed of some attacks. They reduced the recovery time of the attack. And they increased poise when using two-handed attacks. Yeah, honestly, the flails need all the love they can get. Having some poise is nice as well. And they reduced attack recovery time. They were a little on the slow side for how little range they had. They increased running attack speed and reduced attack recovery time for the following weapons: straight swords, curved swords, katanas, twin blades, axes, hammers, and halberds. Now, I'm on board with most of these. Well, some of them, not most. But the halberd, they better not have buffed the running light attack. That's already one of the fastest running attacks in the game. I can chain that so easily to get roll catches. If they buffed anything, it'd be maybe the running heavies on some of these weapons. They could use some love. So we'll have to see what they mean by running attacks, if it's all or certain ones. But yeah, I'm hoping no running attack, light attack buff for the halberd. Increase the first attack speed for the following weapon types: straight sword, curved sword, and whips. First attack as in light attack, I suppose. If they mean just one of them, that makes sense. I feel like the dual-wield curved sword running dual-wield light is pretty quick. But if they just mean the standard lights for most of the weapons, that's okay. Increase the speed of guard counters for the following weapon types. Yeah, I feel like guard counter needs more love on every weapon type, really. I'll have to test it out to see how much faster they made it to, if it's actually useful. Maybe if you can guard and roll catch with it, or, you know, maybe in the time of recovery of certain weapon types you can punish them with a guard counter, but I mostly never use this, so we'll have to see how much they buffed it. They reduced the attack recovery time for whip weapons. Interesting. You know, I feel like dual whips were already pretty good. I never really used it like one whip at a time, but they actually have some pretty quick attacks, so that'll be interesting to see. They increased the damage of claw weapons. Okay, yeah, as far as it goes, I definitely used fist weapons more than claw weapons, so them having a damage buff is interesting. Added holy damage and faith scaling to the Great Club. Honestly, pretty random, but I guess we'll have to try that out. Increased damage negation when blocking holy damage, and decreased damage negation when blocking damage from other affinities. Okay, so now we have better damage negation against holy damage, but less damage negation against all the other affinities. Okay. Increase the effectiveness of the twin blade talisman. Yeah, I have to admit I've never really used that, so we'll have to give that a shot. I don't use twin blades too often. Mostly they're running heavy on the stitcher. Well, the peeler, sorry, not the stitcher. The peeler has a really good running heavy attack, I feel like, for frostbite buildup, so I've used that from time to time. Slightly reduced rolling travel distance for light equipment weights. Now, I wonder how slight they mean. Can we actually possibly roll catch it with some weapons? Because, like, it's extremely hard to deal with light roll with really any weapon. The only type of weapon I even have remotely any chance of is sometimes a halberd if I run up close on them and they roll incorrectly, like kind of angled at first, and I catch up on them a little bit. And thrusting swords if I'm close to them at the beginning of it. Other than that, I can't like roll catch anyone light rolling with all the other weapon types, so hoping they reduced it a decent amount. Decrease the hitbox size for some attacks of the following weapon types: thrusting swords, heavy thrusting swords, spears, great spears, and halberds. Okay, yeah, you know, in Elden Ring, thrusting weapons kind of dominate still, so it is nice for them to lower the hitbox. The heavy thrusting swords running heavy has really big phantom range on it, so I hope they did something about that. And yeah, overall, I think that's welcome. And then we have Ash of War adjustments. Lifesteal increased target grab range. Nice. Surge of Faith increased projectile generation speed, always a bonus. Flame Spit increased the guard speed and blocking amount of the skill, and they adjust the angle of the fireball. Okay, I do have to give that a shot. I don't use it very often. There are some pyromancies that I don't really like that much as it stands, but maybe they've been buffed enough to where they're pretty useful. Tongues of Fire increase the guard speed and blocking amount of the skill. Great Oracle Bubble increase the projectile generation speed and reduce the recovery time. Okay, so you actually make the bubble faster and it has a faster recovery time. Kind of nice. The bubbles are kind of fun. Viper Bite, reduce the time before rolling as possible after the skill. You don't even see this used very often, but that is kind of nice to buff it. Shriek of Milos, increase the close range poise damage. Interesting. Maybe that'll stun now. I'll have to try that out. Spear Call Ritual, increase the projectile generation speed. Okay, they come out quicker. Cursed Blood Slash, increased projectile generation speed and reduce the recovery time. Okay, a little bit faster on the generation of it, and then we have the recovery time. Gold Breaker, reduce the recovery time. Seems like they're reducing the recovery time on a lot of the slower ones. It's kind of nice. I command the Kneel, increase the attack generation speed. I'm for that. I don't really use it much, but I command the Kneel can be fun memes. Starcaller Cry, increase the speed of the follow-up attacks. Okay, you know, I'll have to give that one a shot actually, because it was on the slow side. I really only used the pull at first, but if the follow-up is a lot faster now, it could be useful. Spinning Wheel increased the attack generation speed, and they added a roll and heavy attack cancel timing when using the skill. Okay, that could be something to try out as well. There's already a lot I want to test out, but some of the Ash of War changes are pretty nice. Bug fixes. Okay, let's see if we know of any of these. I'm actually not sure what bugs are left in the game, so. Fixed a bug where the Scarlet Rot status buildup was not properly reflected when giving the Anspur Rapier a Cold Infinity. I actually did know about that one. I went to Cold Infuse them, and they didn't get any Scarlet Rot buildup anymore, and I was really confused. That'll make them pretty interesting to use in general. I want to try them Cold Infused now, so it's Frost, and then you get the Scarlet Rot as well. Fixed a bug where the Scarlet Rot status buildup was not properly reflected when giving the Rotten Great Axe a Blood Affinity. Didn't know about that one. I didn't use the Rotten Great Axe too much. Fixed a bug where the Knight Rider Glaive did not increase the damage of horseback attacks. Okay, I would never notice that because I don't use my horse really for combat. Fixed a bug where the Duelist Great Axe and the Rotten Great Axe did not increase the damage of the charge attacks. Well, I've only really used each of those maybe twice, so I definitely wouldn't have seen that. Fixed a bug where the Roar Medallion Talisman effect didn't increase the power of some incantations. Okay. Fixed a bug where they reduced the power of some skills while under the Golden Vow effect. I don't use those buffs as much. Maybe I will give them a try now, but yeah, I haven't used Golden Vow very often. Fixed a bug that caused the Determination and Royal Knight's Resolve skill, when casted from a left-handed weapon, to be added to other skills casted with a right-handed weapon. That's terrifying. I did not know about that though. That would result in some pretty high damage output. Fixed a bug that reduced the critical hit power of the right-handed weapons while having Determination or Royal Knight Resolve active on the left-handed weapon. Okay. Same thing as the last, basically. They fixed a bug where the status buildups were unintentionally added to some weapon skills. I'm assuming that's the one where if you're using something like Blood Flame Blade, where it adds the bleed buildup to your weapon skill. It also has been interacting with Fire's Deadly Sin since the beginning of the game to give it a bleed aura around your body if anybody's near. So I wonder if they finally changed that. I guess we'll have to see. Fixed a bug where the power and special effects of left-handed weapons could be added to a skill cast with the right-handed weapon. That seems to be a theme here, and I never knew about that, nor have I really experienced it, to my knowledge. Fixed a bug that caused an equipped sacrificial twig to be consumed when a player died in the Colosseum. That one's kind of funny. Fixed the camera positioning when respawning in the Colosseum. Was it weird? I feel like I never noticed that. Fixed a bug where a player could receive credit for a kill in the Colosseum when dying due to the death status effect instead of the player who inflicted the status effect. That's a strange one. Improved stability in the Colosseum matchmaking. Okay. I didn't really have a lot of failed connections, to be honest. They fixed a bug related to the level correction when an invader used the Phantom Bloody Finger. This was a very needed fix. I really had been not trying to use the Bloody Finger because of this. Honestly, that's useful now. As long as they change it to give us better spawns in the future, I'll be happy. Fixed a bug that could cause disconnects with other players in certain locations during multiplayer. Okay. Improved online multiplayer stability. Well, we'll have to see about that one, but I'm happy about it if so. On PS4, they fixed a bug that occurred when using the finger severer on summoned NPCs while offline that could cause the game to crash. That's unfortunate. They fixed a bug related to some enemies not rendering or behaving as expected, okay, and several performance improvements and other bug fixes. And then they have the ray tracing technical specifications below if you do want to check them out. Other than that, I think that's all the changes they have for this update. Most of them being very good. A little I'm afraid for. I'll have to test out mostly the running attack buff on certain weapons. I want to try and see how that works. I am happy for the changes for most of the weapon classes though. Some of them did need some love. I'm happy they gave the greatsword some love. Yeah, I expect some videos in the future trying out a lot of the changes to see how they are. I guess that's all for this update. Thanks for watching and reading through this with me, everyone. Comment below what ones you think are really nice buffs, some you're afraid of. I'm intrigued to see everyone's input. Until the next video, though, this is goodbye. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Goodbye.